What's up, everybody? It's your boy E-Double here, aka Eric West, and we are finally back for another matchup in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation Next tournament here on the Homeboys channel. To explain my... I already explained. If you don't watch the Ratchet and Clank series, basically I said that I was going to be taking a little break, and now that I've taken care of all the other stuff in my life, thanks to this break, I can finally get back to making a little bit of content for you guys. So, today is going to be Hasleberry Tyranno going up against Tania, one of the 7 Shadow Riders. Now, Hasleberry Tyranno, if you did not know, runs a dinosaur deck, and he has his deck is actually pretty top heavy. He has a lot of high level monsters, so we're gonna go over mostly those because the dinosaur monsters are kind of generic, you know, and they don't have anything impressive to talk about. So you have Dark Triceratops, where he does piercing damage. Black Tyranno can attack directly if your opponent has only defense monsters. Sauropod Brachion can tribute itself with only 1 tribute if you use a dinosaur. It can Book of Moon itself, and when it flip summons, it Book of Moons all other monsters, and your opponent takes double damage if they attack it. Boss monster of the deck, or at least his signature card, is Ultimate Tyranno. Basically, at the beginning of your battle phase, he has to be the first one to attack, and he has to attack every monster your opponent controls 1 time each. And then the other, the alternative, signature card or boss monster of the deck is going to be Superconductor Tyranno. You can tribute a monster to burn for 1,000 damage, but he cannot attack if you do the burn damage. I know that's kind of underwhelming, but this was the GX era, so what do you really expect? A key card in this deck is going to be Destroyer Saurus, who can discard itself to search for your field spell Jurassic World. Now, we do have Giant Rex, but I kept the printed version of this card because this card had been used in the anime once by Noah, who had biblical references and stuff like that, but it was kind of lame. So Giant Rex is a little more suited for a dinosaur deck than the anime one was. Another card that he has here is Miracle Jurassic Egg. Basically, it gets counters every time that dinosaurs go to your graveyard, and you contribute it to hatch a dinosaur from your deck depending on how many counters you have. Then a really interesting card right here is Dynabase, which is a machine monster, but you go ahead and you use Dynabase with another dinosaur on your field in order to fusion summon your Dynatank, who will gain the combined attack points essentially. And if it gets targeted for a card effect, you can switch the target to another monster that your opponent controls, as long as it works out okay. So double evolution pill, right? You banish a dinosaur and a non-dinosaur from the hand or graveyard, and you summon out a level 7 or higher dinosaur from the hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions, and that part is key for the side deck. And your non-dinosaur would either be your Dynabase or your Archeons, which is a wing beast that he randomly ran for another evolution pill, but we don't run that garbage here. Then you actually have the big evolution pill while we're talking about narcotics and everything, and Big Evolution Pill will give you the ability to summon level 5 or higher dinosaurs without tributes. A very interesting generic card he ran, Card of Variation. You Pot of Greed, and the quote-unquote downside is either lose a card from your hand or take 3,000 damage. So very interesting card here. Now we have Jurassic World, and so originally it was only supposed to give a 300 stat boost to dinosaurs, right? Well, now it also gives that stat boost to wing beasts, which isn't the important effects. The crazy part here is, I'll just read it for you. They are unaffected by the effects of your opponent's trap cards. That is very, very potent to have on the field. Field spells in this tournament can be pretty bad by themselves, but to give protection to all your deck from any trap cards is actually insane. And when your dinos do get attacked, you can just switch them into defense mode. Potential OTK here, we have Survival of the Fittest. It gives a monster 1,000 attack, and when it kills someone in battle and it goes to the graveyard, that monster can make a second attack. Then you have Jurassic Impact. So when your life points are lower than your opponent's, you basically dark hole, right? And then each player loses 1,000 life points for each of their own monsters that got destroyed, and until your opponent's next turn, no one can normal or special summon monsters. Absolute insanity here. And you even have a counter trap here with Tyranno. You have Jurassic Heart, which can negate trap cards that target dinosaur monsters. So, and you have a total of 3 of those in here too. Now this card is actually really good, which is actually why I only put 1 copy of it in this deck. Fossil Dig will search for any of your level 6 or higher monsters. So it's actually really good when you can just search any of your different boss monsters out of your deck. Then you have, I'm not really going to go into this because a lot of people know what these do, or I mean you guys can always pause the video and read up on them yourselves, but these 3 as well as the new boss monster are straight out of the dinosaur deck that became meta back in 2016 I believe. But you have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, who can be summoned with your double evolution pill, so no need to tribute for this massive guy. And during either main plays you can destroy monsters in the hand or field, and then you can change everybody into face down position. He can attack all your opponent's monsters, and if he battles a defense position monster, your opponent takes 1,000 damage, and then if they do, they automatically send the monster to the graveyard. So it doesn't matter if it's a marshmallow, doesn't matter if it has a flip effect, you just do massive burn damage. And he has gigantic attack. Now combine that with the anime Jurassic World, and honestly, how could you lose? Okay, so Tania here was the Amazoness, and she technically had 2 decks. You just had to blend them together though, because she only played like 5 cards each or whatever. So a lot of this is like filler Amazoness support stuff that I put, and I tried not to make it too crazy powerful because Amazoness can get that way. I also did not include new Amazoness support all that much because there will be another Amazoness duelist later on down the line. But Amazoness Paladin will gain 100 for each Amazoness you control. Then Swordswoman 1500, and your opponent takes the battle damage for you. Amazoness Fighter 1500, you take no battle damage. Tiger, you can only have 1 tiger. He has to be the attack target when your opponent attacks, and he'll gain 400 for all of the Amazoness monsters on the field. Blowpiper can drop a monster by 500 attack if it lives long enough. Amazoness Trainee will kill the monster and put it back into your opponent's deck, and whenever it kills a monster, it'll get slightly stronger, a 200 point increment every single time. Archer, you tribute 2 monsters to do 1200 damage. I left it at only 1 copy because there's some shenanigans. Spy, I left Spy in here even though it's an Arc 5 Amazoness, but I gave it the anime version, which was severely weaker. It can just special summon itself if you have another Amazoness in your hand. Sage doesn't really do much, but it has the potential to MST, you know, if you can keep it around, then that's cool. And only 1 copy of Chainmaster because she's my least favorite. Not my least favorite, but in this deck, she's my least favorite Amazoness. If she dies, you can pay 1500 life points to look at your opponent's hand and pray to God they have a monster so you can steal it. If not, you just duped big time. Spellcaster can change the attacks of 2 monsters. Charm switches somebody into attack mode. Now, Amazoness Call is actually a really cool card because what this card can do is it can send a fusion monster on the field back into the extra deck. And being that this is the GX era, like 80% of the time that you duel somebody, they're going to have a fusion monster. Now, how often they can summon a fusion is completely different story, but this can be pretty dangerous if Tania moves on to the next round. Now, the really big one here is Amazoness Fighting Spirit, and it can boost Amazoness monsters by 1000 points, and you do have 2 copies of it. The really weird card here is Amazoness Arena, because, well, first when you play it, both players gain 600, and you pay 100 life points to inflict 100 damage. So this card is about as useless as Smile World, really. I mean, unless your opponent is lower life than you, then I guess it's okay. It's just weird. Now, 3 of my favorite cards in this deck. You have Heirloom, whoever attacks the monster will die. Fusion Sword Murasame Blade gives a monster 800, and Union Attack. So all the attack of all your face-up monsters combine into 1 monster. That's the only monster that can attack, and it does no damage. Trap cards aren't really too relevant, but just know that this is like a Call of the Haunted that forces the monster to fight all the time, and this is kind of like Time Machine or hero signal or something like that. Side deck very simple. You have the A forces and you have the good Amazoness field spell. When one dies, you summon another one from the deck. They all gain 200 points.